Being spiritual minded, what does that really mean? Can being spiritual minded help us understand what is the purpose of life? We're going to talk today about living your purpose, and I'm going to share a principle from the Course in Miracles on helping us to further more clearly understand the meaning of life, or what is your mission in life. Do you ever ask, what's my mission in life? My mission in life, what could that possibly be? A life of purpose and passion. Hey everyone, James Nussbaumer, and thanks for joining me in another episode of For a Better Life podcast. It's bright and early Sunday morning, actually not too bright. Where I'm at right now, we've got a swamp of water dumping on us. But it's September 9th, 2018, and today we're going to explore some really deep ideas here. One of the members of my mastermind group, a wonderful woman named Kelly Sue of Amarillo, Texas. Kelly Sue, I'm going to answer your question today. She had written in and wanted to know, asked me, said, James, can you explain a little more about what really is spiritual minded the way you look at it? And if we understand being spiritually minded, can we understand what really is our purpose in life? Well, that's a good question, Kelly Sue, and let's get to that right now. By the way, for those of you that are listening to me at YouTube, keep in mind that in the description area down below, I have a link to the written version of this podcast today. So I encourage you to go access that, because this will also be embedded there inside that article. But there's a lot more that you can absorb at that article. And also, if you're at YouTube, in the description box down below is an access link called The Power Within You, and it gives you access to a wonderful video on how successful people grow and how they achieve their purpose in life or their passion in life. And I hope that you'll take a good look at that. But let's talk about being truly spiritual minded. For me, brings out my mission in life, Kelly Sue of Amarillo, Texas. I hope that helps, and I'm going to dive deeper into that so you can understand, and for everyone else listening. But I mean that I no longer have to worry about my choice of words like I once did when, say, confronted with a subject I don't know the answer to. I just simply respond, at this point, I just cannot answer that. And I don't worry about it. Anything I do today comes from my heart. And I really mean that, which is spiritual minded, with no exaggeration, unless, of course, I'm teasing around and it's a playful time with a little bit of fun. But hey, even teasing around and playful time, isn't that spiritual minded as well? Wasn't it Jesus that said in the New Testament that, be like the children, see how the children play? So, but I can honestly say that the depths of my internal understanding do spread throughout my true essence, I like to say, giving me new meaning and purpose in everything I do. And we're going to talk more about your true essence, just a word that I use in my books. I pursue my mission in life and my exploration with, let's say, utmost exhilaration and really without exhaustion. Sure, I may lay my head down at night being tired from the day, but not literally exhausted through stress and pressure and anxiety. I now find that my seriousness is the fun side of me. In book one of my series called The Master of Everything, subtitle, A Story of Mankind in the World of Illusion We Call Life, which I encourage you to get if you don't have it already, I talk more about where A Course in Miracles helps us to see that it's their purpose with a capital T. And what I mean by that is, meaning when I say their, let's say God, the Holy Spirit, and the child of God as one-mindedness. That one-mindedness sustains me. And I'll call that one-mindedness my inner divine guidance system, or my true essence of who I am. This is what we can say is pictured as the face of Christ. Whatever your true essence is, to your heart, isn't that the face of Christ shining through? I'm not, well, let me say that I am getting the right amounts of sleep now, food and exercise, and it just seems effortless, but very much a wanting, so to speak, from that true essence within me. Now, by the way, if you hear some emergency vehicles going by, it's early in the morning, and my gosh, I'm looking out my window, there's a squad car, an emergency squad car going by. Looks like they're taking someone to the hospital. I hope it's okay. But like I said, I'm getting the right amounts of sleep, food, and exercise, and it seems so effortlessly, but like some kind of a longing that's being pleased inside of me. Without any effort, I see a different side to the incarceration that I had once endured over 8 long years in the volatile and often violent den of the cell block, deep in the rabbit hole of the prison system. And when I was released from prison after 8 long years, I experienced newer heights than ever before from this stepping stone, if that makes sense. Because of my inner divine self, them with a capital T that I write about in detail in book 2 of the series called Mastering Your Own Spiritual Freedom. Keep in mind when I say them, I'm talking about, God, the Holy Spirit, the child of God, all as one mind, making up your true essence, which is the same as my true essence. We share that essence. And that's what I mean by our divine inner self. So because of our inner divine self, which I am at one with, just as you are, miracles have sprung up for me just as does the grass and the flowers on a once scorched and barren ground. Wow, does that make sense? Yes, the ground was once scorched and barren for me, but the grass and the flowers are just popping up everywhere now. By the way, here's a related article that I urge you to seek out at my website. You can put in at jamesnussbaumer.com/understanding the law of attraction for a better life. Now, the law of attraction is a modern day term used really for your true essence, the one-mindedness I'm speaking of here, of creation. What my confusion has wrought, let me say, my inner divine self, that true essence, has undone for me. Correction, if we can say. It's like the sinner and the saint that I once saw, in me, now appear to be spiritual-minded waves, if you will, on the surface of the same ocean, differing only in their magnitude, with lack of a better word. Each of our natural outcome of forces in the universe, we can say, rooted in time and causation, or simply put, cause and effect. Now, see, that's where we can get a little deep here when we start to analyze and dissect what cause and effect really means. And then, the ego likes to sneak in the back door on us. The ego, that fearful and doubting Thomas aspect in us all as humans, wants to dissect it like an engineering or mathematical project. But so let me say that although I have described the realization of being spiritual minded and divine knowledge as traveling the path, I can say, to spiritual freedom, or my mission in life, this analogy really shouldn't be taken literally. Now, I'm not talking a lot today on cause and effect. I brought that up, but to understand maybe cause and effect, can't we say that cause and effect could be that once scorched and barren ground, that because of the right nutrition, that grass and flowers are springing up in my life all over the place? I hope that helps Kelly Sue of Amarillo, Texas, and for everyone else that's listening too. I just want to mention Kelly Sue because she was so kind to write in for this. But, although I have described the realization of being spiritual minded and, divine knowledge, like I said, is on my journey to realizing what spiritual freedom really is, or my passion and my purpose in life, and aligning my days to that, But this is no ready road in the spiritual realm. Okay, what I mean, and let me take a sip of my morning coffee first of all. That aroma of coffee, don't you just love that in the morning and the taste of it? But what I was trying to say is there is no ready-made road, for the spiritual realm. You can't buy it in a box. There's no way that, someone else can instruct you. And that's why I had titled my second book of the series called Mastering Your Own Spiritual Freedom. In other words, I'm trying to say not what others have prescribed for you. But spiritual-minded progress is not a matter of following an instruction manual or buying it in a box, like I'd said, to move along a line already laid down and, unalterably defined, we could say. You just can't, spiritual-minded, you just can't go down to the nearest shopping wall and buy it on a shelf somewhere and take it home and plug it in and say, now I'm spiritually minded. But it does come in your willingness and readiness in an instant to just decide that you are going to be spiritually minded. And you don't have to share that with anyone. Because, in fact, it's a better idea that you don't. Because then once you do, others will jump in, because that's the ego-based nature in us, based on fear and doubt, is to advise you on things that you should be doing differently. But rather, my mission in life is a creative process of spiritual involvement of the conscious mind, okay? Not the brain, the mind, which is our true essence. Don't think too hard on that, because again, if you do, the ego will sneak in the back door on you, like a burglar coming up behind you to rob you of your real true thoughts that you really want to be thinking. So let the idea of your conscious real mind just flow across your way of thinking. Excuse me, everyone. In book 2 of the series, Mastering Your Own Spiritual Freedom, again, I really jumped on and dove into deeply on how it is knowing why and when the ego wants to intrude, rather than a journey or a path to success of your own. This process, described as a spiritual journey, is something that the ego in you doesn't want you to pursue. And it's about living your purpose, a true calling, if you will. And that's another thing that the ego warns you about, that answering to your true calling might not be a good idea because of doubt and fear and the unknown. What lies ahead is unknown. But to spirit opens the door and says, walk through to your true calling. Don't be afraid. That part of you that's telling you that is your true essence. That's the one-mindedness of creation that the Course in Miracles is teaching us about. The journey to being spiritual minded is comparable to, say, a flight through the air, but not a journey upon the earth, because it is truly a pathless journey in literal terms, is what I mean. Let me explain as I sip on another cup of my Maxwell House. So good, so good. My mission in life, or true calling, we can say, is a dynamic movement, and it's within my consciousness that creates its own avenue, its own pathway, and doesn't leave any trace behind. Think about this, where time is concerned, when we worry too much about time. What is 100 years, or even 1,000 years, or even tens of thousands of years to your true essence? We worry so much about time. Do I have enough time to answer to my true calling? Do I have enough time to get the life that I want, to create the life I want? Well, you need to just do it now, and don't worry about any possible repercussions the ego warns you about. Don't you want to live doing what you really want to do in life? And like I'd said, what is 100 or 1,000 years from now? What does that mean to your true essence? It means nothing, because 100 years from now, you're not going to be here on this earth, but your true essence is. and is alive in eternity, being at 100% bliss. There's not even a term called 100% in eternity because it's all it can be. It's all it is. It's whole. It's just total awesomeness. What couldn't we say? You know, once your inner divine self comes to you and you accept it, you can begin your purpose, Kelly Sue of Amarillo, Texas, and that can be called your spiritual journey. Just accepting your inner divine self and being aligned to your true free will. Being aligned to your true free will can be said in modern terms such as being aligned to the universe. Another modern day term, being aligned to the law of attraction. It's just words in the alphabet. It's the meaning behind the words. But what is your true free will while you're in this world? You know, what never was. Let me back up and say, okay, what never was, which really is the illusion of the dream of separation we live in, a fantasy world, and life that you don't truly want fades away and passes into nothingness when your inner divine self takes over and that true essence about you takes charge of your life in this world. That is what your real true free will is about, and that's what truly living is. And when you're doing that, that is being spiritual minded. Couldn't we say that? I believe so. You know, the child of God, we can say. Some want to term it the son of God in traditional terms, but son not meaning the word man. Son is just used as a traditional term. The son of God means the child of God, in God consciousness. Take the body out of the picture here. Look at the mind, the whole mind, the sonship, the Course in Miracles likes to term. The child of God is within him, within that consciousness, where to know it is exactly to exist as blissful power. So when you are aligned to your true free will, you're tapping into that blissful power, because God consciousness, which really is your true essence, once again, wants you to be aligned to your true free will without fear and without doubt. It's why it is highly suggested to regularly practice and learn how to do mindfulness meditation techniques. And you can find out more at my website in the written version of this blog. And if you're already at my website listening to the blog here that I've embedded into an article, you'll find a link there, finding out more about mindfulness meditation. Go ahead and access that, and I think that you'll be happy with what you see, because I only recommend something that I thoroughly believe in. But to exist as a power is to know yourself as unbounded bliss, and to know oneself is to know your inner divine self, them that I had spoken about earlier, the one-mindedness of creation, them, God, the Holy Spirit, the child of God, all together as one in mind, in thought, not as body, in mind and as thought. And let that one-mindedness in mind and thought take charge of your body while in this world to do what it is that you truly want to be doing. There you go, and that's how you become spiritual minded. Don't you think so? I sure do. You know, this is knowing divinity. And for me, it is my mission in life. I don't know. How about you? You know, you are not living your true free will. You know, if you are not living your true free will, if you are not living a life of the passion and purpose that you truly want for yourself, in which you're limiting yourself, or you're limiting yourself to the real knowledge within you, and your joy is clouded, this would make you a product of false imagination and cannot be the earnest seeker of spiritual freedom. How can you honestly have spiritual freedom if you're really not doing what you want to be doing in this world? You know, I have another related article that I would love for you to check out at my website, jamesnussbaumer.com/. feeling of love and feeling for a better life. Put in those words and you'll come right to it. I've got hundreds and hundreds of articles at my website that I'm the author of every single one of them. So as I get ready to close, I hope this sunk in to you, Kelly Sue of Amarillo, and for everyone else listening about what does it really mean to be spiritual minded. You know, let's throw out the sense of that woo woo ghostly kind of thing of spiritual. No, let's let go of that idea. That woo woo idea is something that the ego would prefer that we think of as spirit. But, you know, as I get to close here, I hope that you will join my mastermind group where we discuss deeply on these kinds of things that I really am getting tremendous response from. And I just love this mastermind group. And you can find out more here at my website. If you're at YouTube, there will be a link in the description area for learn about, it will say actually learn more about Jim's books and mastermind group. Also, please support my work. And I want to mention, if you're at my website, you'll notice that I recommend other authors' products, other authors, life coaches' products, whatever it might be, psychologists, marriage counselors, because, you know, if you're really following me and you're liking this podcast so far and you're listening to me over and over again and you like what I have to say, you know, and even if you read all of my 16 books, which are not all published yet, but they will be, and more too after beyond that, I don't have the answers to everything, and I'm not an expert on everything. I just write about what I feel and how I've learned to grow spiritually from A Course in Miracles. So that's why I refer people to other experts who have thoroughly checked out their products. So if you have a problem going on in your life and you need some help there, or a little bit of comfort and aid, don't be shy to check on anything that I refer or recommend at my blog. Please follow me on Twitter and YouTube. Today has been a little shorter than usual. Actually, we're really just about right on time, because normally I get a little long-winded, and I have a timer here where I need to keep myself at a certain time limit. So usually I'm saying, oh, I went a little overboard, but today I got it almost just about right. So I wish the best to you in life and success and all the happiness the world has to offer you, the universe has to offer you, I should say, or let me say that your true essence has to offer you. You know, also, I want to also add that, you know, let me back up for a minute before we go and say, when we talk about God consciousness when you leave here, you know, let's don't use, when we think of God, let's don't think of the fearing God concept either, you know, that we have to stand in front of someday on Judgment Day. No, let's don't look at God that way. Let's look at God as the only consciousness that there is ever in eternity. And perhaps that maybe a portion of that consciousness has slipped into a dream of sort, and dreams of being in this world in exile, away from our real home. And so how to be happy while you're in this world is just maybe listening to God consciousness, the oneness, the true essence of you, telling you everything will be okay. Just follow your heart and everything will be just fine. I hope that hit home. And by the way, I always like to add, because it's so very important, but I'll say it in a different way today. Please consider the inner beauty about yourself, the inner awesomeness, the wonderful bliss and glory of your beauty within you. That beauty, that awesomeness is God consciousness. It's real consciousness. It's the same real consciousness that is my beauty and everyone else's beauty. It's all connected as one. So when you learn to reflect that to this world that you're living in right now, that's what makes your life just 100, just extremely, extremely blissful and full of happiness. I wish the best for you. I've got to run now. James Nussbaumer signing off.